We're ready? 3, 2, 1 rule. Now I'll start that again because I can't count. Pimp my, pimp my, pimp my, pimp my. I'm Warren Mendez, and this is another episode of Pimp My. There are 2 rules in Pimp My. Number 1, I'm given an existing food or convenience product, and number 2, I need to make it better. So today's product is, drumroll, garlic bread. Garlic bread is the delicious holy trinity of flavors: white bread, garlic, butter. It's a dream when you bake it in the oven, even though it doesn't look that appetizing now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this perfect accompaniment to Italian food, I'm gonna pimp it up, and I'm gonna turn it into a meal in itself. So let's get going. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a flavor base in the pan that we're gonna split between the meatballs to make them intensely flavored, and then also the tomato sauce to make that delicious. So oil, onions, and just to boost the flavor from the outset, when I'm cooking those onions, we're just gonna add some fennel seeds and some salt. So while those onions are sweating down, we're gonna go in with some other classic Italian flavors. So has to have garlic and some thyme. And I always chop them at the same time to save time. The garlic and thyme in, and then we're gonna go in with some pepper, chili, and oregano. We're only gonna cook that for about a minute, otherwise the garlic is gonna start to burn and the herbs will too, so just get that off the heat and into a bowl to cool down. Here I've got some pork and veal mince as a mix. I'm gonna go in with half of that onion mixture, which has got so much bread flavor in it. Got some fresh breadcrumbs, which I'm just gonna soak in milk quickly, so make sure you don't use any of the crusts from bread. Just let that soak for a little bit. Straight in. Fresh breadcrumbs are gonna create a much softer, more delicate meatball, whereas dried breadcrumbs take a lot to soak in. So I much prefer using fresh breadcrumbs. Also, no eggs. You don't need eggs to bind meatballs. It kind of toughens them up when you cook them anyway. So no eggs. And as a bit of flavoring as well, we're going in with some Worcestershire sauce and some finely grated Parmesan cheese. I'm gonna use about half of what I got here. And the Parmesan's gonna give it a really nice savory umami flavor inside the meatballs as well. Umami is the 6th taste? 5th. Sweet, sour. Lucy, help me. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. Is it 5th? Someone Google that, I'll look like an idiot. Just a little bit of salt again will do it good. Clean hands, get mixing. It looks disgusting, but there's something really pleasurable about it. Is that weird? Yeah. Got a tray. You could let that mixture cool down a bit, but there's nothing wrong with going straight into it. Using a tablespoon measure, and we want to make kind of even sized meatballs. So tablespoon on the tray, between your hands, and then look, perfect little meatballs. Okay, so straight into the pan, which I've started to heat. There's actually no need to chill those meatballs to firm them up at all. Balls straight into a hot pan, a little bit of oil, and then we're gonna cook these until they're nice and golden. Same pan, keep all that oil and fat because that's heaps of flavor. We're gonna go with that other half of the onion mixture. Some tomato passata. Stir that in. And then while those flavors all coming together, I've got some basil here, and that's just gonna infuse its flavor into the sauce before we add the balls back. Okay, so while the sauce is simmering away, we're just gonna start off the garlic bread. So I'm using one of these big loaves of garlic bread here, which we kind of split into 2 subs. You can use a traditional garlic bread like one of these, and then that way you can shove the meatballs into all these little holes, but I think it's a lot better to use one of these loaves, so I'm gonna do that instead. So we're gonna go into the oven for about 5 minutes until this is slightly golden, and that way we can then put our meatball topping on afterwards. Okay, so the sauce has thickened and intensified, so I'll just get rid of that basil. It's done its job now. And just return the meatballs with all the resting juices, and we're gonna cook for another 5 minutes. Okay, so that garlic bread has had its 5 minutes, nice and golden. So we've kick-started that flavor already. So onto the tray, we wanna get all the meatballs dotted around, some of the sauce, and then we're gonna break over some buffalo mozzarella as well, and just tear it into a few big chunks. And then we're gonna dot it in between some of the meatballs. And then that way, as it cooks, it's just gonna melt into the whole thing. Now, put the remaining balls on top of some of those cheesy bits. We're creating a bit of a ball mountain over here. And then we're gonna go with a final bit more of the mozzarella and then some Parmesan as well. Okay, so into the oven, which I've got at 180 fan forced for about 10 minutes until the cheese is bubbling and the bread is nice and crisp. Okay, piping hot out of the oven. That cheese is all oozy. Meatballs look great. Delicately now just transfer it to a tray here. So this garlic bread has been well and truly pimped. I think it's the perfect hybrid fusion meal where we've got beautiful meatballs, rich tomato sauce. I just should actually taste it first before I tell you how good it is. Certainly not a pretty picture, but this is damn delicious. Those meatballs are really fluffy because we put in the breadcrumb with the milk, Parmesan, really rich tomato sauce. That cheese is nice and rich as well. Bread is nice and crispy on the edges, hints of garlic. This is like a genius meal. Let's need it more. So for this recipe and more, head to delicious.com.au, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also let us know what other things you'd like us to pimp.